So I want to go over the salary cap implications from this Aaron Rodgers trade that went down yesterday. Pretty big implications for the Packers, both in 2023 and 2024. So if we look at Rodgers' contract initially, before this trade went down with New York, he had about a $31 million cap hit against the Packers' salary cap for 2023. But now with this trade going through, Rodgers' cap hit for the Packers is now $40 million. So even though he's not on the Packers, he has a $40 million cap hit, and that's just money the Packers have paid to him in the past that now has to be counted on the salary cap. So if we look at the Packers' 2023 current salary cap space after the trade happening, according to overthecap.com, we have $11,909,769 of salary cap space left. So that is not a ton of space considering draft picks take up some of that space, somewhere from, I don't know, $2 to $5 million-ish potentially. So not much room for the Packers to really sign many free agents or players. And I don't think it's that big of a deal. Obviously, we would love to have a ton of cap space for 2023. But we sort of knew this would happen if the Packers trade Rodgers before the June 1st deadline. If he was traded after June 1st, we could have split up the cap hit of $40 million between 23 and 24. It would have been $15 million instead of $40 million in 2023, but then $25 million in 2024. So the good news, I want to get to the good news now, is the fact that because this trade was done before June 1st, the Packers now have $0 on the cap for Rodgers in 2024 moving forward, which means there is a ton of cap space available to the Packers going into 2024. So even though 2023, we don't have much space, 2024 could be a huge year for the Packers in free agency. So let me show you right now how much cap space the Packers have for 2024. According to Over the Cap, right now the Packers have about $54 million of cap space for 2024, which is insane. A ton of cap space. We'd have a ton of room to go in at free agents, wide receivers, defensive players, tons of guys to be able to build around Jordan Love. There obviously will be some different contracts added to the books. The Packers will have to decide by May 1st, which is about a week away, if they want to exercise Jordan Love's fifth-year option. If they do, that'll count about $21 million against the cap in 2024, which would take the cap space to around, $34-ish million for the Packers. So not quite as big as $54 million, but still a sizable chunk. The Packers, though, we don't know if they're going to exercise that option. Because if we look at Rodgers back in 2008, the year he took over for Brett Favre, the Packers gave him an extension about midway through the season. He was playing pretty good, and I actually found this report from Adam Schefter back from 2008, which is 15 years ago. It says this: now that Aaron Rodgers' contract numbers have come in, a 5-year extension that gives him 6 more years for $65 million, which is crazy, $10 million a year back then, which now obviously the numbers are much higher for the Packers, including $40.5 million in first 3 years of the contract that can be compared. And Rodgers' contract now makes him remarkably the 4th highest paid quarterback in the game behind Peyton Manning, Carson Palmer, and Ben Roethlisberger. So it's crazy to look back at 2008. Rodgers became the 4th highest paid quarterback in the NFL about midseason. So we'll see. If the Packers don't exercise Jordan Love's 5th-year option by May 1st, they could be looking to give him an extension during the 2023 season, depending on how he's playing. And maybe if he plays poorly and they don't like what they see, they could either give him a cheap 1-year deal to give him one more season, or move on if they don't like it. I think they should give him more than one season, personally, because who knows, how long it could take for him to develop. Hopefully it's quickly, but you never know. So tons of cap space for the Packers in 2024. Another interesting thing to look at is David Bakhtiari's contract, because right now for 2024, he has a $40 million cap hit for 2024, and he mentioned recently that the Packers are either going to have to release him or give him a new contract just because of how massive his cap hit is for 2024. And just to look at it, if the Packers did decide to release Bakhtiari after this season, they would free up about $20 million of cap space. So let's take out Love's contract. Let's take out, let's factor in Bakhtiari. If he were to be released, the Packers would have $74 million of cap space. And if they did give Love his option, they would still have $54 million. So regardless, the Packers are going to have a ton of cap space in 2024. So even though this season we may not be able to make, big moves, I think it's fine. We're going to have, we have tons of draft capital now because of this trade going down. A first-round pick, 2 second-round picks. We're going to have, lots of young talent here that is pretty cheap for 2023. And then moving into 24, we're going to have a ton of money to make moves, to potentially go out and snag, high-end free agent wide receivers to pair alongside Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, whoever else is here that the Packers draft in 2023. So it's honestly looking up for the future of the Packers. And I think if we look at 2023, even if we have, like, let's say an 8-9, 9-8, 7-10 year, but Jordan Love looks pretty solid, I think that would, be a great season for the Packers, even though it's obviously we want to see them be much better than that. But considering this cap space, if they can play that well without making huge free agent additions, that means that in the offseason after 2023, they could have, really take this team to the next level. So lots to be excited about. And honestly, the fact that the Packers got this trade done, I think was a huge move by Brian Gutekunst to not only, have no cap implications going forward with Rodgers' contract after this season, but also to get all that draft capital. Huge move by Brian Gutekunst. Way to get it done. But that's all I have for this video. If you want to stay up to date with all Packers news, Packers analysis, all that kind of stuff, feel free to subscribe to the channel down below. I put out Packers videos pretty much every single day. And if you want to stay up to date in my newsletter, I send that out, a lot of times throughout the week. So you can click the link down below in the description, enter your email, and get all the other information I send out there about the Packers. But thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.